I mean,
So
we'll see Hero's journey.
do you have a dream venue that you would want to perform your music at?
Madison Square Garden seems like the one for most people, but that's if you want to be that famous. And I don't know if I want to be that famous. There's less like creativity and inspiration coming from Twitter, and it's more just like people's opinions on other people's creativity and what they're doing. I watched a documentary on Reggie Jackson, who's like a 1970s MLB player. I'm
Yeah.
kind of lowballing it. He's like one of the greatest ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
This
he,
little hometown baseball player, Reggie
yeah,
Jackson.
yeah, a
Don't
little
know if you've
small
heard of
guy,
him.
yeah.
He's a music artist who takes on the title of coach. He has over 3,000 monthly Spotify listeners and is part of Spotify's Fresh Finds Hip Hop Best of 2023. Please welcome Coach Tev to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you for having me on. Of
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, talking about your career, your music, everything like that.
course.
And so the first question that I usually ask guests just to get into it is, what was your first experience with music like, or what made you want to pursue a career in music?
Man, so I never really had like, dreams as a kid of honestly being a rapper. I didn't really have rap dreams, as they say. I kind of stumbled into it. Like, I was more into like basketball and stuff growing up and Call of Duty and things like that. But I went to college out here in North Texas, and my best friend at the time was like singing and stuff, and he was recording like on his laptop. And so, I'm like, if he can do it, I can write a few bars. It shouldn't be that hard. And but I've always been like a creative of some sort. Even from a youth, I was like filming things on my dad's video camera. And even when I was like 12, like we used to like we had this video game on PlayStation 2 called Music MTV's Music Generator, and like you could make beats on there. But it was really just something to pass the time. We was 12, 13, and we'd write raps to it and things like that. But it was just really just for fun. But yeah, when college rolled back around, I got back into it because my best friend was into it, and then I mean, haven't really looked back since then. I just kind of got hooked, and yeah, here I am, man, still doing it.
Yeah. So before then, were you working towards something else? Like, were you working towards being a basketball player or some other career?
Somewhat. I mean, honestly, when I got to college, not really. I went to college for to study film. Um, so yeah, I kind of left the hoop dreams alone after high school. I got an injury that kind of sidelined a good portion of my senior year. So the offers that I got were like smaller schools then, and I was like, I'd rather not go to the middle of, Kansas to play
Yes.
basketball. I was like, it's not that serious. I wasn't like super duper in level basketball like that. So I was like, well, let's just, let's try film out. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, that's kind of what, trajected or projected, I guess, my career from the sports world to more of like the artistic world, going
Yeah.
into college and yeah.
Yeah. And so for other rappers, singers, musicians who sort of want to make that same transition or who are now like ready to, go into music and want to try to pursue that, what tips or advice would you give to them?
The best thing is to, I kind of lucked out by my best friend being into music, but definitely getting yourself around other people who are like have similar interests. It makes the journey that much more fun and it just, you got to be around people of like-mindedness. It keeps you in that mindset. Because I mean, at a point, especially by the second year of college, like we was doing it almost daily, but you don't look at it like that. But we was really putting in like those 10,000 hours. But it was just because we were both into it, and then we
Yeah.
started meeting people on campus that were really into it. So just finding that community, and that makes the journey, that much, easier. Then you can find people who are better than you, and then you kind of, you're around people that are better than you, you're gonna
Yeah.
naturally get better.
Yeah. It helps you have something to look forward to or like work towards. You're like, oh, I want
Yeah.
to be on their level. And then you meet someone higher and you match that. Are you a music artist trying to find a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible? Then check out Distrokid. Distrokid is a super user-friendly and super easy-to-use service that will make your music available in stores like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, Snapchat, everything. Everything you could imagine, it's available. People will even be able to add your songs into their Instagram stories. DistroKid helps you with the distribution, monetization, and promotion of all of your music. Use the link in the description of this video for 7% off any DistroKid package you want. Pick from musician packages designed to help artists get their own music out there, or even get a label package where you can manage up to 100 artists from one profile. So that's more for like managers, labels, and you can also get the musician package that I mentioned earlier, which is more for artists, producers, things like that. And super easy, and you can get 7% off any package right now with the link in the description of this video. So once again, if you're looking for a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible, I'm talking any platform you can think of, get DistroKid and get 7% off right now with the link in the description. Back to the program. You start rapping, you have the name Coach Tev, clearly like a sports theme there. How did you come up with that? Was it just from your time in basketball or what?
Man, it was so I kind of went through like 6 names before I even stumbled on that one. I didn't I didn't get that name until I want to say 20, well, it's been a while now, but 2015, I think. But it yeah, 2015. And man, I think it was just one of those things that just kind of hit me at the right time, but it was a culmination of like a lot of things in my life. Like my dad was the coach, growing up. Um, and just being around like that lifestyle of like, looking out for other people and being the leader of a team, And I think what really did it though, in college, I was working at this, it was like an after school care for like elementary school kids. And since I'm like, I wouldn't, I'm like a certified teacher, they call you coach. So they'd be like, Coach Mia, Coach um, Jones or
Yeah.
whatever. And then for me, they call me like, some of the kindergartners couldn't really say Tevin like that, so they'd be like Coach T or Coach Tev or something like that. And I don't know, man, one day I was in the shower still trying to like think of new names or whatever, and it just popped up on me. I was like, oh, this is like, it's so easy to say, it's so easy to remember, but it's like still unique in a way. And it fits me because like I make mad sports references, that's still a part of me, especially at the time people would say I dressed like a like a AAU basketball coach, because I was always in like sweat and like, windbreakers and things like that. So I mean it fit
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. And I want to get into some of that, like all these sports references. You have music like Dynasty or Coach of the Year. Like, are you making an effort to connect sort of your music and sports, or is it something that just comes naturally because you're so into
Yeah,
sports?
that's a good question. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of it is naturally, but I do kind of because as I've gotten older, I've kind of made more of an effort to like, work on my branding and like the marketing aspect. So like it's a mixture of both. I mean, some of it's natural, like because like I am into like, I followed the Rangers this whole season, so like I'm just naturally into certain sports. So like the references kind of come natural. But yeah, I do kind of make a slight effort sometimes to kind of like make sure I'm connecting those and just branding myself how I want it to be, how I want to be perceived, I guess, and how I want to make the connections.
Yeah. Well, and you have like, plenty of basketball references, you have baseball references. What is your favorite sport, just like to watch or in general?
Now, I think in the last like year or so, I think it's transitioned to baseball. Growing up, it was basketball. That's really what I played. I played all sports when I was young, but by the time like high school came around, it was just
Yeah.
basketball. But yeah, in the last like year or so, so I started I don't know, randomly, I just kind of like, I'll play, I don't know if you heard of the baseball game, MLB The Show. So
Yeah.
I'll play that a lot, and I've been playing that for years. But I don't know, one day, like, I think it was like late 2021, I just had an urge to like, I was like, dang, man, I wish I would have kept playing baseball growing up. I wish I wouldn't have stopped at like seventh grade. And then, so I found um, a softball league. And then, yeah, like last November, I was playing softball for a long time, for like all year. And then as the baseball season, like the actual MLB season rolled around, then I started following. I was like, let me see what the Rangers are doing, and started following them. So now, if you ask me today, baseball is probably my favorite sport. So,
Nice.
but
And
yeah, most of 80% of my life it was basketball for sure.
definitely a Rangers fan for
Oh yeah, yeah,
baseball.
yeah. Shout out to Rangers, yes sir.
Hey, if you're like me and you're interested in the YouTube or creator space, you should check out The Publish Press. The Publish Press is a completely free newsletter founded by YouTubers Colin and Samir. They host their own podcast talking to some of YouTube's largest creators. They've edited some of the best content I've seen on YouTube, and now they're sharing their knowledge about the YouTube space with you for free. The Publish Press comes out 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with everything going on with your favorite creators and platforms. And like I said, it's completely free. Just enter your email address to receive the Publish Press whenever it comes out, and that's it. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below, sign up to the Publish Press, and get all the info you need on the industry. So maybe it was your best friend who you started recording with, but is there either someone in your personal life or like an artist that really inspired you to like keep going with music or try to, start a career?
Nobody personally, because I didn't really have, like a family that were, musicians or something like that. So maybe like I think when I started rapping again at like 19, um, there was what's his name? Currency. Currency was my favorite rapper in like 2010. And just, watching his journey from I remember because Lil Wayne was my favorite rapper back in like '07, that era. Currency was around. He was signed to Young Money at the time. Then he left to do his independent thing, but I'm still like a Wayne fan. But then years later passed, and then I see Currency doing his independent thing, and I started liking his music actually, his whole wave. And yeah, I was just inspired by like the his style was very like lifestyle raps, and like he'll talk about like smoking, but then like I go play video games. Like I'm not really on the gangster stuff that I tried to portray when I was with Young Money and all that. Like I'm really not that guy.
Yeah,
I'm this guy. And like I just thought the vulnerability and the transparency, but like still the cool, suave, like I related to that so much. So like I think that was like my first like, you know, push to like, oh, I can do this too. You know what I mean?
definitely. And so have you faced any moments where you like sort of thought about stopping music or like second guessed whether it was something you should be doing?
Yeah, stopping, not so much, but second guess, I mean, all the time. I think that's a natural progression. I don't think you're an artist if you never second guessed at some point. You know what I mean? Like it's like there was this meme I seen. It was like you put something out, you think it's the best ever, or you create something like it's the best ever, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's okay. Oh no, this is shit. And then you go back, it's like, oh no, this is the best thing ever. Why isn't everybody on this? You know what I mean? It's just the waves of
Yeah,
being an artist. So, but
yeah,
I mean, I'd say that you got to just push through that, because like I said, it is a wave. So eventually you'll kind of come back up to the top, be like, oh man, this is great. Like just keep pursuing it because a lot of times there are people that are watching you. Like I said, I was at the mall yesterday, doing some last minute Christmas shopping, and I had this guy come up to me and say that he's been following me since 2015 and like SoundCloud era. And he even named one of those songs that came out in like December 2015. And like that's just it's good to hear some of these things like that because
yeah,
when you
that's
second
awesome.
guess yourself, you're like, oh man, like people are really still paying attention, even though you might not see it all the time. People don't tell you all the time, but like people are watching and are inspired by what you're doing. So
Yeah,
gotta keep
and
keep trucking.
especially now, like even if something doesn't catch on like right away or get attention, especially with TikTok or other social platforms, things will come up like years later and start to get popular from
Exactly.
that. So I think it's important to definitely like stick with it and keep going.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts in general on just like social media and like the way artists promote themselves on social media?
Man, I deleted Twitter the other day. Literally, I just got tired of
Yeah.
sometimes Twitter. Like I used to love Twitter because it was just like the jokes on there is hilarious. But I think as of late, it's gotten more like opinionated from people that are like don't have really any experience, and like there's less like creativity and inspiration coming from Twitter, and it's more just like people's opinions on other people's creativity and what they're doing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, do your own thing and like stop critiquing somebody else's. I don't know.
It's like a
it's kind of
review
weird.
or a critique platform rather
Yeah,
than like,
yeah, I don't like that.
sharing
So
your own stuff.
so Instagram has kind of been my like I've and then Twitter kind of like with people retweeting bullshit like on your platform like you don't really have as much control. Whereas Instagram, you don't really get people retweeting onto your stuff. Like it's literally my algorithms and what I like. Like I be following a lot of random, baseball highlight pages, graphic design pages, videographers and stuff like that. So like that's really all I see. So it's like nonstop inspiration when I'm on
Hmm.
Instagram. But to answer your question on what I think about it in general, I mean it's obviously it's name it's part of the game. You gotta, I'm still trying to figure it out in my own way because a lot of it is like really, really now it's even more shorter attention span than it was when I first started and promoting myself. So now I'm like TikTok, I'm not on really at all. So I'm trying to like come back around to like figuring out how to like and it really it's not a figure out thing because I can really just post the same stuff I post on Instagram on TikTok. I just don't. I don't like TikTok at all. But it's part of the game, man. So I'm still trying to figure it out, trying to get my short form content game up a little bit and, just start showing people more into like my world as like an artist and like how it looks and things like that. So I'm working on it.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
sometimes I
And
just be one to, just create the art and like and put it into the world and let people do what they do with it and then move on to the next.
yeah, and when you're working on a new song or trying to, you know, come up with something, what does that creative process look like for you?
Yeah, if I could turn this camera computer around, I'd show you. My setup is literally right here in the in my living room. I mean, it's just I got a mic, I got an interface, and I got my laptop, and then I just record right here, and then I'll take it to like a homie who engineers and make sure it sounds good and all that stuff. But a lot of it's just right here. Even before, so I got a kid now, so I don't really have as many people coming over the house and like recording. But back in like 2020, 2019, I used to my place was like an open door, like people just come in whenever, and we just like record, do whatever, and it was the same process, man. I got the same equipment, honestly, other than my laptop. Everything's the same since I started recording myself, which was 2017. I had the same stuff. So I be trying to tell people like you don't need a lot. You don't need like the big studio. It's nice
Yeah,
for Instagram, I guess, but like just to get started, you just need the basics. Just be able to like,
computer, internet,
yeah.
microphone,
I
like
mean, you would know like as a podcaster, like you don't need the big. It would be nice, like the goals are
yeah,
to like,
I would
have
love
the
like,
of
sitting in these
course.
big studios, like a couch and a couch, like talking to the
Right.
guests face to face. But honestly, like this works almost just as well. I can still get it out, things like that. And
hmm
so,
hmm
yeah, it definitely, I understand. Like, you don't need this. You don't need to spend a bunch of money when you're first starting out. You can
Exactly. You just
start
got to
out
get started.
small, and sure, once you grow and get bigger, you can move to that kind of setup. It's not a
hmm
necessity.
Right.
Um,
And because a lot of our favorites too started off on small setups or whatever, and we just see them now where they're at now. But like if you go watch their journey, some of the people will like won't delete their older stuff, so you just so you can go back and see the journey. So
yeah.
I mean,
So
we'll see Hero's journey. Uh-huh.
perfect, perfect. Um, and so, you mentioned having a kid. Did that affect your music or your career life at all? Like, I'm sure life in general, but
Yeah.
has it like affected your music or what you want to rap about at all?
What I want to rap about, not so much because I think getting older, like I've already kind of like started like maturing, like how my approach and like what I want to put out to the world. So not so much from my content standpoint, but definitely from just like a time standpoint, like I just don't, I can't be out until like 3 a.m., just BSing all the time like I used to, certain nights, but, not as much as I used to or whatever. So, you just have to adjust. I mean, but that's with anything in life. Like you're gonna have to figure out ways to adjust and adapt where there's technology, where there's things going on in your life. So, um, yeah, it ain't been that big of a like culture shift as opposed to if I would
Yeah.
have had him at like 23 or something like that, then when I was still like super duper outside, then it might have been a lot, you know what I mean? But you know, uh, it's it's um it's kind of put things in perspective as far as like what I want in the future and like which I already kind of knew. Like I don't think I've ever really wanted to be like a Drake, like the biggest ever and like everybody knows me. Like I still want to have like somewhat of a, you know, decent regular
You
lifestyle
want to
where I can
have
like,
some
yeah,
level of privacy.
some level of normalcy, I guess. So I don't know if you've seen Andre 3000's was it his the GQ interview or something like that? He
I didn't see it.
it's a really good interview. He was like in a laundromat or something, and his whole thing was like, you know, he's glad he can still kind of like I think he might have been in some like remote location, who knows where he was at, but he was just like at the laundromat, you know, he's like I like walking up and down playing the flute, you know what I mean? So and it's because of him not being in the spotlight for like 2 decades, you know what I mean? And he kind of missed doing the regular thing. So it's a balance because like obviously I do want to be able to like sell out certain venues and like people know the lyrics, but at the same time, I don't want to be able to like not go to 24-hour fitness and play basketball without like 8 security guards and things like that. And then, you know, it makes it difficult for your family too. You know, feeling like
Yeah,
people are trying to get, you know,
get
as my
to
son
you.
grows up, trying to get all in their business, and, you know, taking pictures of them when they're at school, just weird things like that. So
With your music in general, do you take inspiration from other artists like Andre 3000 or like Drake? And if you do, how do you sort of put your own spin on it so that it still is a unique sound and not just copying them?
yeah, I used to have that issue when I was younger because like I try to literally like copy Nas's flow to the T. But that was just because I was just trying to figure things out, you know. So now like I'm inspired by so many different artists, whether it's music, film, photography. So like it's hard for me to like really fixate on one person and like take so much of what they do. And then it's not even just from a music aspect. It's I pay attention a lot to like how people roll out their projects, like a Tyler the Creator, and um, yeah, just so it's everything from their marketing, their rollouts to like how they approach like recording or how they actually make the music. So, but I've also got to a point now, like I've been doing this for 10 plus years now. So I kind of have my own style and I'll just take, not even take, I'll just be inspired a little bit how that person does it and kind of just like incorporate it. Like I like that part. I don't really want to do that. That's not really how I would do it or part of my branding, but like I'll take this part, you know, and then
Yeah,
just kind of like
yeah, it's
mix it in the
interesting.
coach gumbo, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting that you're taking other aspects as well, not just the music itself, but like
Hmm.
their marketing or their mannerisms, just how they go about life in general. And so it's
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good mixture that you're making sure that it's still authentically you.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Gotta be. That's the best part. I mean, that's the, you know, if you're not genuinely you, it's gonna be a tough road because you're gonna be constantly trying to like live up to this like fake persona of what you want people to be you as opposed to just being naturally you. So then if and when you eventually blow up or get to a higher, you know, level, it's easier to maintain. Like I've never had to switch up myself, you know what I mean? People come up to me in the mall or wherever. I don't have to like, okay, let me get into Coach Tev. Like
Yeah,
this is me. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's not a character or a facade or
Yeah.
anything. It's just you, which is the best way to do it because then exactly like you said, you don't have to put anything on or it's not like work. You can just talk
Right.
to them and like have a connection. When you mentioned like doubting yourself or your music earlier, like coming in waves up and down, was there any song or project that you've released that either you were like really excited for and it didn't do as well, or that like you thought you would just like put out, kind of throw it away and it took off?
That's a good question. Let me see the first one. So I think the best project I ever put out was this one called Black Ice, and this was in 2021 summer, and it was a collab project between me, one of my best friends, Blake Chris, who's a rapper and producer, and then our other best friend, who's a producer, and his name's J.O.H. So it was just, I don't know. I think we mesh really well because we're actually really close friends in real life, and we are into the same type of things musically. And I think it just came well together. I think it did. What's crazy is In the same way I say somebody came up to me in the mall yesterday, somebody came up to Blake at like Kohl's or something yesterday when he was out shopping and told him how like that project Black Ice like came at the perfect time of their life and just things that it's good to hear as an artist, right?
Yeah.
So I was about to say that like I felt like because we knew when we were making it and when we put it out, like it had the potential to like be like one of the best projects of the year in general. That's how we felt. So since it didn't reach like, it's not like it got 10 million streams or whatever like that, then to me, I
Yeah.
feel like, man, it didn't get to where I felt like it should have for like as good as it is. But, if it's having people telling you like it came at a perfect place in their life, like that's an accomplishment too, because we've all had, projects that have been that for us, like a
Yeah.
not beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy for me, like that came at a perfect time in my life. This I can go on and name a lot of albums and projects that done that for me. So to know that created something from scratch with hardly any budget and it has that effect on somebody is like, sometimes we just got to retrain our mind to what we feel like success is. And obviously we
Yeah.
all want like the millions of streams. We want to be able to like tour off of an album forever because it was that great and did that well in the world. But sometimes we got to count the like, it did that for somebody, for one
You
person,
have
two
to
people,
appreciate even the
Yeah,
smaller level things of like just a fan genuinely connecting with
right.
like your
Because
music.
that's what it should be about, right? Like it is art at the end of the day, but the issue comes, when we try to monetize art. So like it always it's just a weird spot, because it makes you try to like reach for things that aren't really like art related. Now you're talking about like numbers and strings and all this stuff is like it's fake. You know what I mean? It's not real. It's not real at the end of the day. Um, but to answer your other question, let me try to think something that kind of like did bigger than I thought it would have. Maybe COTY. So I put out a project called COTY in 2019, and this is like when I introduced myself to the world as COTY, which stands for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
And it was just something random. Like another thing I was reffing to. I used to ref basketball games, and I think I was just running up and down the court, and it just popped in my mind. I was like, Coach of the Year. Oh, COTY. Like it's just so simple, but like it also relates to me. I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna name my next project COTY. And it was really just to name my project that. But now it's kind of took on its own thing where like people will actually call me COTY. You know what I mean? Like it's an actual name or something like that. And I mean, that project came out in 2019, and still to this day, I got a COTY shirt on. I be selling, I still sell shirts from it. It's just, I don't know, it kind of took on its own thing, and I wasn't expecting it to have that effect on my career or on other people so much. So yeah, I think that was, it was just one of those things that just came just like off the cuff and had legs of its own.
Yeah. And so maybe it is something from Black Ice or Cody. What song of yours do you think let's say someone hasn't heard your music before and they want to try to get into, if you had to pick a song to be like, all right, this is sort of my sound, this is what Coach Tev sounds like, what song do you think you would recommend to them?
Maybe mini cap, just because it's it's another one of those that came off the. My cat is trying to do too much, man.
That's all right. You can bring them in if you want.
She need to eat. That's why I'll feed her in a
Yeah.
minute. But yeah, mini cap, which is off of COTY. It was one of those ones. My cousin who produced all of COTY. His name is no, he didn't produce all of COTY. He produced all of them. I fell in love with my mistress, which was my first project in 2018. But anyways, he produced Minicap, and we were living together at the same time at the time. And he used to do these things on Fridays called Freestyle Fridays. So it had people come over, they'd be in his room, he'd be playing beats and people would freestyle. And I freestyled like half of COTY there. And luckily he was recording it on his phone. So then in the morning I was like, bro, give me that recording because I'm gonna just do that song.
Yeah.
And I think it just captured me naturally. Like it captured like a flow a pocket I never really used before, but it was so catchy. So yeah, definitely minicap would probably be one I tell people off top, just because I also know like I mean, everybody that likes Coach Tev, in my opinion, really likes that song. So I guess there's something in there that like they feel like is a part of me in that song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely minicap. Me personally, I think double double would probably be one of my favorites that I try to put somebody on, because at heart I still feel like I'm the, because like I said, minicap is more of like a bounce. It's kind of catchy. I mean, there's some lines in there, but double double is more of like straight rapping, straight like introspective and like just rapping for like 2.5 minutes or something like that. So like I think that showcases my skill as a writer the best.
Yeah.
So out of those two tracks is what I try to, put people on if they want to hear something from me from, you know, like what can I get into? How can I get into Coach Tev? What are some songs you recommend? Because people ask me that all the time. So those two songs, one of those two.
Yeah, awesome. And going forward, if you got sort of a magical opportunity to make a song with any artist in the world, who would you want to
Oh,
collaborate with?
Alchemist. I need an Alchemist project. Until I do an Alchemist collab project, I haven't made it. So
Hmm.
once we get that under the wraps,
That's on the
yeah,
bucket list. It's
oh
up
for
there.
sure.
Needs to get done.
Because I mean, he's been my favorite producer since, like I said, I was following Currency earlier on in 2010, 2011, and they had a collab project called Cobert Coup. And that project is like what really made me a fan of both of them. And then since then, he's literally, it's like you just know you're on the same wavelength with people, because I'd have a favorite rapper, and then he'd eventually do a collab project with them, like Action Bronson. Who else? Larry June, Bodie James. Like literally, I would be already fans of the rapper, and then here comes Alchemist along the way, and then does a collab project with them. So I'm like, bro, we're on the same wavelength. We need to do one as
Yeah.
well. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah,
that
all right.
that was
Well, Alchemist, if you're watching this for some reason, then Coach
yeah,
Tev's here. Needs a
I'm right
project.
here.
We got to get it
And
done.
I've already done the track. I did like a freestyle track on one of his beats. It was just like last year or something like that. I put it out just because I did this project called Give and Go. And it was really just like unfinished songs, or like songs like that, where I kind of just hopped on like a producer's beat that I really wanted to work with. Like Timberland was one I did, just to kind of showcase like what I can do on that project if they ever come across. And I did like snippet videos to it, to
Yeah.
put it out in the world. So in case y'all ever come across it, and then you like, this is how it was sounding on your shit, man. So we can
Yeah.
do this even better. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And so that's probably the dream collaboration. Do you have a dream venue that you would want to like perform your music at?
I've never really thought about that. Like a dream venue. This kind of goes back, like Madison Square Garden seems like the one for most people, but that's if you want to be that famous. And I don't know if I want to be that famous. So I don't know, man. I don't think I have one in particular. I think growing up in Dallas, the one I had was Trees. You might not know that because you're not from Dallas, but it's where I've seen like a Currency or Dom Kennedy back in the day. Like some of my favorite artists when I was younger, even Method Man came through, was at Trees. It's like a 600, 700 cap venue. So it's not huge, but it's still intimate, and it's still like 600, 700 people, it's still, a
Yeah.
good amount. So that was my dream. And I've performed there like now like 3 times. So like just knocking out off the bucket list was amazing. I still haven't sold it out myself, but we'll get there. So yeah, I don't really have a specific one. Maybe just, being able to do that in other places around the country, around the world. If you can pack out, if you can bring 500, 600, 700 people in places outside all over the place, like you can have a successful career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people
And
coming in different places to come see you.
yeah, it's definitely one thing to do it like in a hometown or in your main city, but the ability to just like go anywhere and do that is really special because
Yeah,
it shows that
it
like
is.
almost no matter where fans are, they want to come see you. Um,
Exactly.
and so is there a song of yours that is your favorite that you've made that like you really just like listening to or you still think is a great song?
Man, a lot of times they be unreleased joints. Let's see, something that I put out that is my favorite, other than Double Double. Um, I feel like it might be something off of Black Ice, but I'm really trying to think which one, because there's so many on there. I like the intro on Black Ice, 3D Moon. Man, it's tough, bro, because like I go through waves of like honestly, when I put out songs too, I've listened to them so much that like I don't really listen to them again after I put them out. So then that's why a lot of times, like I really mean it. Like it'd be my favorite songs at the moment be songs that I haven't put out yet.
Yeah.
Um, okay,
And that's fine, you know, maybe it is something that you just haven't put out yet and that you're looking forward to sharing.
I'll say this because I do have a collab project coming out with a friend of mine, Pat Ron. We put out a collab project in 2021 called Shut Up and Rap. So we have another collab project coming out in Q1. We haven't decided exact date, but probably, I don't know, February, somewhere around there. There's a song on there called Pat and All Black. Right now, that's my favorite song. So when it comes out, then you'll see.
Awesome.
You know,
Yeah,
you'll
we'll
have your own opinion
keep
on
an
it.
eye out
But yeah,
for
yeah,
the collab project coming early next year.
yeah.
And so what, you know, that's coming up for you, obviously. Your latest release, Dynasty. What can you tell us about that, or like what went into it?
Dynasty was one of those ones where like I made an effort. Usually I just kind of go into the song like however I'm feeling, I'm just gonna whatever I make. But that one I definitely had a concept in mind. My goal with that was to get it on the next 2K soundtrack. So it didn't happen because 2K24 I guess already came out. But we'll try to get it on the
There's
next
always
one, whatever.
25.
Yeah, there's only two, it's a song that, it's the idea and concept behind it is everlasting, evergreen. Like it's not gonna ever go away. So it doesn't feel dated or nothing like that. So yeah, it was just it was just one of those. I was like, I'm gonna go into it like I'm definitely trying to tie in like the Coach Tev brand, which led into the video, like us celebrating, with like we just won a championship with the whole parade. I pretty much took in like I also call myself Greg Pop, right? And that's a nod to the legendary Spurs coach
Popovich.
Greg Popovich. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of even for the video. Like I used like a whole bunch of like reference photos of like when they won back in Tony Parker days, like early 2000s or something like that. And but yeah, just for the song, like I kind of was just like, this is what I want it to be about. This is what I want the feeling. I want it to feel like it's a smooth song, but it kind of has a little bounce, which is honestly my style, like smooth with bounce.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of went into it with that mindset, and and it I guess people felt it. It did well. I mean, it was one of my best tracks ever as far as like how quickly it like shot up in the streams. And while I do say like sometimes the number to be fake, it do be good to see sometimes. If it is real people listening, like
Yeah.
you would never know. I'm not buying streams. I'm not gonna say that, but sometimes you never know. Until people like you see people in the real world give you that or people in your DMs and stuff like that. That's when it really means something. Because other than that, it just look like numbers. You're just looking online. But yeah, Dynasty is definitely it's definitely my 2023 mini cap, I guess. Like a lot of people love it.
Yeah.
Every time I perform, they be wanting me to perform it. So yeah,
Hmm.
shout out
Yeah.
Dynasty, man. If you
Yeah.
build a team, and that's honestly like that's how I be feeling too, because like I said, on top of music, I do a lot of film things, and film more so than music. Film, you really have to have a team. Like you can't do a lot of those things by yourself. You need
Yeah.
somebody to help with set designing, casting, the lighting and shooting. It's just a lot. I
It's
have
why
shot a lot of
movies
things.
have these super long credits at the end. It
Exactly.
takes that many people to make these big
But
films.
that's also if you want to do like something a big production, because as the same that we were talking about, like my mic setup, I've done a lot of videos where it's just literally myself. Like I just have the camera on a tripod. You know what I mean? But if you want to do bigger production, then yes, you need a team. And like Greg Popovich, man, if you pick the right people and develop your team the right way, then you can have a dynasty. So that's pretty much
Yeah.
the whole concept behind it.
Well, and with that, now they've got Wembanyama. What do you think of this team that you got this year?
Honestly, I've really been paying attention. Like I was still I was hot off the what you call it, the Rangers World Series. So
Yeah.
and the basketball season was like right after or like at the same time. So I haven't really been paying attention. I'll probably start paying attention now after Christmas is really when it picks up. So we'll see. I haven't really been paying attention. I mean, I can speak about him. Like that dude is a generational talent.
Yeah.
Especially as he gets more muscle, like he's gonna be He's different.
More
Seven
muscle
four
and
with
just more experience. I mean, like
yeah,
this is his rookie season. Like he's gonna
rookie
probably
season.
be here for
Yeah.
a while.
I mean, remember how Giannis was? Giannis was thin when
Yeah.
he came into the league. And this dude's like 270 now or something. Like he's bulked up. So not to say that when Giannis gonna be that, but he's gonna get muscle, he's gonna get bigger and he's gonna get more
Yeah.
experience, he's gonna get more confident. So and then you're under Greg Popovich. This dude is the most winning coach in NBA history, bro. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't have fell into better hands. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see, where his career and what, Greg Pop got for him. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, the last thing that I got here is a little segment that I've been trying out with some of the people I bring on called Know Your Stuff, where I have three of your songs, queued up, ready to go. I'm just gonna play a small snippet and see if you can name it. And once you name it,
Okay,
feel free to let us know about like story behind it, anything
for
that went
sure,
into
for
the
sure.
song, anything like that. Here's the first one.
Cook little shit souffle.
Okay,
Drink
you
horse to
stop
the
it.
right place.
Immediately.
Yeah, yeah, that's Souffle, man. That was off my what was it? That was off the Talk to Him Nicely album in March 2022. Yeah, that was. Let me see. Whoa, I made that so long ago because I might have made that like during the pandemic. But it was another one of those kind of gave me a mini cat feel, like I'm just kind of ride the beat. And we shot a video to it and everything where it was like the video's dope because it was on some like me and a chick at like a house, a dinner at the crib type of thing, with the
Yeah.
candlelight dinner and but yeah, that song was oh man, I'm trying to remember the creative process of it. I really don't even remember it so long ago. But that was another song I feel like should have done better than it did because I thought I caught a good pocket on it. Um, but yeah, man, cook a little shit souffle. I ain't really got a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
It was a dope time, and that honestly that project was my favorite from like a conceptual standpoint because the whole idea behind Talk to Him Nicely was like like as I got older, being like on some more like distinguished gentleman, like even souffle is like, I'm taking, my shorty out to like, or not even taking her out, like I'm creating an experience for her in her ambiance right here at the crib, just me and you. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like that song really encompassed, that theme as well. So,
Yeah. Just
yeah.
growing up, becoming more respectful, like
hmm
just
I ain't gonna say
like
respectful, more so
yeah,
just like,
I'm looking for the word. Just like you
yeah,
know what I mean.
just
You
more
know what I
like,
mean. What?
dressed a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was just for the project, because then I'll go back to right after that and like get back to my, dressing and doing what I do. It was just kind of like the vibe I was on at that time. So,
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we got a couple more here. Here's the next one.
Happens when you only chasing riches. You get lost from
oh
time to time.
wow, Small Pond. That was one where I didn't expect people to gravitate towards it as much. Like at that time, like I was performing that one every time I performed, just because like it has that part in the verse right before the hook comes, and it's like a build up, and then it goes
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, Small Pond. That was 2019, I think, when it came out. Um, damn, who produced it? Oh, my homie Jax Gray. He lives in Austin. Um, yeah, man, it was just one of those that it was just kind of like I was just playing with, and that's why I encourage like sometimes you just got to put things out because I don't think I was even originally going to put that on COTY, but I think a homie might have been like, nah, bro, you got to put that one on there, and I'm glad I did because it's
Yeah.
honestly one of the fan favorites on that project.
Good
So
friend looking out for you, making sure you
yeah,
put that on
yes,
there.
so, for sure. So
All
you
right.
got to
And
keep
then
good people around you, man.
yeah. And then the last one that I got for you here.
Might have felt like a
Make
punch in the
history.
nave.
Yep.
Yeah, make history. Yeah, so that project that was on Mr. October, and that was kind of like that's like I said, I was into baseball a lot that year, and I watched a documentary on Reggie Jackson, who's like a 1970s and 80s, MLB player. I'm
Yeah.
kind of lowballing it. He's like one of the greatest ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
This
he,
little hometown baseball player Reggie
yeah,
Jackson.
yeah, a
Don't
little
know if you've
small
heard of
guy,
him.
yeah. and he kind of developed this, this moniker of being Mr. October because that's the playoffs, for in MLB, like
Yeah.
World Series air, timing. Um, so yeah, so that was kind of the whole concept behind that project, and then Make History, which is kind of based off of, you know, kind of him in a way, like as far as like the idea of like, you gotta like, strive to make history, do something different or do something so good to the point where it's like it's stamped in history, it's stamped in time. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But that was also, I think that might have been the last song I did on that project because I'm really particular in like how I sequence projects. I wanted to feel like an experience and not to feel like random tracks all over the
Not
place. So
yeah,
like,
not just songs that you threw together in an
yeah.
album.
So I had to make that one because I was listening to the project. I was like, I need something like super smooth, like right in the middle of this to kind of like bring it back down to, to a calm. So I think I hit up one of my homies. I was like, bro, send me some smooth beats. And then that one stood out and I recorded it that day. And then I was like, yep, this one fits right here. So
Yeah,
yeah.
awesome. Well, it's great that you have the thought process or the care behind it of like wanting you have an idea of how you want an album or a project to sound, and you're trying to achieve that, not just like, oh, these are the singles that I've made in the past month or whatever, let's put them out. So yeah, those are all the questions I had for you today. So thank you so much for coming on, letting us know about
Of course, man,
your
anytime.
career, Mr. October, your love for baseball, everything. Where can people find you if they want to listen to
Mhm.
music, get a Cody shirt? Where can they do that? Anything you want to
Yeah.
shout out or promote, feel free to do it
Man,
now.
I make it easy, man. It's excuse me, it's Coach Tev everywhere, on Spotify, Tidal, everywhere, Bandcamp, Same with socials, Hit me up on Instagram. I'm not really on Twitter right now, but eventually I'll get back on it because I gotta promote stuff. So, but Coach Tev, just come out at me. I'm a cool guy, So yeah, get some Cody shirts, man. They're hot off the press, man. Eventually I'm gonna have to make some more because I got a show coming up in January, so I gotta make some more. So I'll
Yeah.
have them. So just hit the kid, man. Appreciate you, bro, for having me on, man.
Yeah. Appreciate you for coming on and really looking forward to this album you got coming out early next year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.